This is an article that came out October 26, 2017. Trump declares U.S. opioid emergency but pledges no new money. In ringing and personal terms, Trump on Thursday pledged that we will overcome addiction in America. No, you won't. Declaring opioid abuse a national public health emergency and announcing new steps to combat what he describes as the worst drug plague in U.S. history. Well, you sure ain't gonna, he think it's all gonna be combated with grant money. And it won't. Trump's declaration, which will be effective for 90 days. I don't know, y'all. What do you think? You think all the junkies will be cured in 90 days? I don't think so. Can be renewed. Will allow the government to redirect resources in various ways and expand access to medical services in rural areas. But it won't bring new dollars to fight a scourge. A scourge. It won't bring new dollars to fight a scourge that kills nearly 100 people a day. But we know it's up to 175. And I also heard 175 from Governor Chris Christie like 2 days ago. As Americans, we cannot allow this to continue, Trump said in a speech at the White House, where he bemoans and plague, he says, had spared no segment of society, affecting rural areas, cities, rich and poor, and both the elderly and newborn. It's time to liberate our communities from this scourge of drug addiction, he said. We can be the generation that ends the opioid plague. You won't. Plain and simple, you won't. Deaths have surged from opioids, which include some prescribed painkillers, heroin, and synthetic drugs, such as fentanyl, often sold on the nation's street. Administration officials said they would urge Congress during end-of-year budget negotiations to add new cash to a public health emergency fund that Congress hasn't replenished for years and contains just $57,000. But critics said Thursday words weren't enough. There's a lot of people really mad at him for not making this a national emergency. And yeah, there's a lot of people that said they no longer trust in him at all. But see, I never trusted in Trump to begin with. I knew he was full of shit. How can you say it's an emergency if we're not going to put a new nickel in it? Said Dr. Joseph Parks, medical director of the nonprofit National Council for Behavioral Health, which advocates for addiction treatment providers. As far as moving the money around, he added that's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. Trump think he is going to fight a horrific epidemic and not add no new money, y'all. This man is so insane it ain't even funny. Democratic House Leader, useless Nancy Pelosi, said, "Show me the money." Trump's audience Thursday included parents who have lost children to drug overdoses, people who have struggled with addiction, first responders, and lawmakers. Okay, so he had an audience full of people that came to the White House just for him to announce he was not adding no money. Trump also spoke personally about his own family experience with addiction. His older brother, Fred Jr., died after struggling with alcoholism. It's the one reason the president does not drink, whatever. But he still don't really want to help these junkies either. Trump described his brother as whatever. I'm moving on. But he had a problem. He had a problem with alcohol. The president said, I learned because of Fred. Trump said he hoped a massive advertising campaign, like Nancy Reagan, just say no, just say no, just say no, which sound reminiscent of the 80s, just say no campaign might have a similar impact. That shit didn't have no impact on anybody. I mean, are you kidding me? That shit didn't have any impact on no damn body. If we can teach young people and people generally not to start, it's really, really easy not to take them, he said. Again, I don't see how anything he's doing is going to help a living soul. I mean, if you think it is, please write it in the comment section because I'm just not feeling him on this one. And I don't even have no one in my family on opioids. It's a path taken by previous presidents, including Nixon, Ronald Reagan, and George H.W. Bush. And it's amazing how these are the same ones that went all in on the war on Black people, and nothing they implemented was of any help. But we know they don't help us. I mean, come on. And obviously, they don't help their own. They look down on these white people on drugs. They don't care about them. I mean, these hybrids. All of them tried to rally the nation to confront drug abuse, but fell short to resolve the problem, just like Trump will. Some people have become hooked on opioids after being prescribed prescription painkillers by doctors after injuries or surgery. As a presidential candidate, Trump had pledged to make fighting addiction a priority. Once in office, Trump assembled a commission led by Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey to study the problem. The commission's interim report argued an emergency declaration would free additional money and resources, but some in Trump's administration disagreed. And apparently Trump did too, because he did not sign that national emergency. What the president did today was historic. It isn't. No, it isn't. They'll find out soon enough, ladies and gentlemen. I say give it about 2 months, and you're going to hear a lot of criticism out here about what Trump is not doing. Okay, let me just go down a little further. Okay, we lost 64,000 Americans last year, he said. And if you look at that, we have a foreign country attacking us and killing 60,000 Americans, or a terrorist attack that kills 60,000 Americans. We would print money to combat it. As a result of Trump's declaration, officials will be able to expand access to telemedicine services, including substance abuse treatment for people living in rural areas and remote areas. Officials will also be able to more easily deploy state and federal workers, secure Department of Labor grants for the unemployed, and shift funding for HIV and AIDS program to provide more substance abuse for people already eligible for those programs. So you're going to shift funding from AIDS and just let people die of AIDS? Oh boy. Mm-mm-mm. It really don't matter, y'all. This stuff ain't gonna work. We already know this. This has gone strong for 20 years nearly, and this is not gonna work. But it's gonna be nice watching the fallout over the next few months for the lack of help that Trump really is giving these people. But please tell me what you think. The reason why I did this article because it went a little more in depth about his declaration. But please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. And if you can make a donation to my channel, please do. Peace, family.